Okay, so we have USDJPY. You guys can see, identifying the trend, we see it is on a downward trend. Okay, series of higher high or lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so essentially we had the break of this trend line. Okay, and even before the break, just reading the candlesticks, you guys can see we had some indecision, some slowdown. Price went down, and buyers brought it right back up, closing by a strong pin bar reversal candlestick. Okay, and you guys can see this yellow zone by just looking in the past. You guys can see it was well respected. You guys can see it closed right where this last strong wick happened. Okay, and looking at that strong wick, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 closes. Okay, some wick action in that area. Okay, so looking at price now, this is where price reversed. All right, and that was on, just looking at the daily, you guys can see we had that after the pin bar, we had a nice engulfing that engulfed the last 3 days of price action. Okay, right after that, we had a break of this zone. And though we did have a strong rejection back for a retest, you guys can see we did finish with a pin bar, and our MAs did cross, signifying bullish momentum. Okay, and this is what reading the market is, you guys. So literally reading the market, telling you what's going on, you guys. And then going down to a 4-hour, you guys can see we had a impulse move to the upside, a retest, okay, and then a continuation. All right, and I do see this continuing if it does break that zone. The reason I say this is because, number one, we did break this trend line, this downward channel. Along with that, we do have this inverted head and shoulders, you guys. Okay, so this is my strategy. This is my edge. Every time I see this trade, I'm going to take it without hesitation, without reservation. Okay, so you guys can see it broke this trend line, and we had that inverted head and shoulders. Okay, and it was a break retest continuation. If it breaks this zone, I see it hitting TP1, TP2, TP3. All right, so this would be a nice swing. All right, we have to let that micro position run. So to win in this market, we're gonna, let our catch our partials, okay, around these two areas, and let our micro position run all the way to TP3. So that's about 350 pips, you guys. Even on a micro account, on 0.01, that's about what, $35. So you guys can see the reason I say that is because just looking at CADCHF, this is a buy we called 2 weeks ago. We called this buy 2 weeks ago. All right, and if you guys can see, we had called it down here. Okay, and I don't know who's still holding. I know I definitely closed that TP2, which was, we called our TP2, which was a 200 pips. You guys can see it's at our TP3, which we did cover, which was 250 pips. And I am liking this indecision. Okay, so you guys can see we do have some wick rejection. I'm definitely going to flag this one for myself. Just going to hold off on it. So I like this wick rejection right when it got into this area. I'd like to see more wick rejection. Okay, just identifying the trend on a higher time frame. I see it's ranging, so essentially it's going sideways. And now we're back at this zone. You guys can see we had past resistance, past support. Past price action was having some rejection around this area. Okay, and even today, you guys can see we came all the way up and just wicked right back down. So I'd like to see some more indecision before we can definitely get back in. TP1 would be back 100 pips down. TP2 back down to 200 pips. Okay. The reason I say this is TP1 because you guys can see we broke that trend line and we had some past rejection in this area. Okay, so this is CADCHF, and this is what I mean by actually holding that position. So we did call the buy over here. We would have secured partials here and let the rest ride up to here. Okay, so that's essentially what we're looking to do on USDJPY. AUD, NZD, I don't know. We did call a buy limit. Okay, you guys can see I took these trades off the same exact setup. Okay. All of them were off the same setup and they all hit. Okay, so I had this break of this trend line, this inverted head and shoulders pattern. Okay, so this is my strategy. Every time I see this strategy, I'm going to take it. Okay, inverted head and shoulders. We had the buy limit over here. We had an impulse up and it almost hit our buy limit. And you guys see it took off. All right, so same exact setup. Break, retest, continuation, inverted flat, inverted head and shoulders with a break, retest. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to NZDJPY. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this call quick. Make this call quick. I don't want to hold you guys too long. So this was a buy that we did call. Essentially, the reason we did call this is just going off a higher time frame. I do see we have a strong area of support and resistance. You guys can see a lot of wick rejection in this zone. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 touches, and I see it looks like an inverted head and shoulders. Okay, just going down. Let me go ahead and just clear everything up for you guys. Okay, so just looking at this, you guys can see we did have a nice bottom that closed right where price previously closed. Okay, and it looks like it almost engulfed half the size of this candle. Okay, so this is the monthly candlestick going down to the weekly. We did have a strong engulfing weekly that did clear these last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 weekly days or weekly candlesticks. Okay, going off on the daily. You guys can see we had a strong impulse and looks like a flag correction. All right, and then I do see we do have a tweezer bottom right here. And going off on the 4-hour, I do see a flag correction. And just having our drawing tools back, you guys can see we had an impulse flag. We are testing the 30.2 Fibonacci currently. I doubt we'll get a 61 Fib retracement. The reason I say that is usually when we have a strong impulse like this, we usually don't get a deep retracement. Okay, so the next target would be a 38.2 or a 38.2 retracement. So just extending this out a little bit, we could get a 61 TP extension. Okay, so this would be a potential target zone, about 200 pips. You guys can see, do have some past support and resistance in this area too. Okay. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me check the chat. And yeah, definitely, if you guys have any questions or or need any help on anything, don't hesitate to stop me. Okay, so I believe we did call it an NU sell as well. The reason we called this sell, just going off a higher time frame, you guys. Okay, and take this out of the way just so we can get more room on the screen. So essentially, what we're looking for was after we saw price have this strong daily rejection. Okay, just going on the 4-hour. All right, we saw that price did violate this trend line. Okay, you see, with multiple touches in the zone, we had a strong impulse to the downside. Our MAs crossed. Okay, so red was on top of blue, so signifying sellers taking control. Okay, after that, we did have a strong impulse, and then we got in on this retracement. Awesome. So NU, so essentially we saw this break of this trend line. You guys can see we do have this harmonic formation. Okay, so I can see this come down to TP1 or potentially just getting the swing low to the swing high using our fib. We could see it does have some confluence around the 61, 71 area. And that would be essentially a 4-to-1 risk to reward with essentially 90 pip TP. Okay. So again, we took this trade simply with the break of this trend line and going off a higher time frame. We did see that our daily candlestick did engulf the last previous candlesticks. Okay, and essentially we were back at this well-respected zone. Okay, we did have some past wick rejection in this area, and then we scaled down to a lower time frame to execute this trade. All right, so CADCHF was another trade we are in. So essentially what we why we took this trade was because we had this break of this trend line. You guys see this down channel that had 1, 2, and 3 touches, and you guys can see it broke this yellow zone. All right, and a strong daily daily close above it. And I do see we have a inverted head and shoulders. You got the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder, and it did break this neckline. Okay, so I'm seeing some potential continuation. TP1, TP2 would be these previous zones. Okay, and you guys can see just scaling out a little bit higher. We do have 1, 2, and a potential third touch on this trend line. Okay, so again, just scaling down to the 4-hour, just a break, retest, continuation. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of Japanese weakness. So I'm seeing some rallies for these ex-Japanese pairs. Okay, so CADCHF, USDJPY we just went over, and I believe I just went over NZDJPY as well. Okay, so Euro AUD, I believe we called a buy on it. I do see some correction before it continues, and then just simply looking at Euro NZD as well, it shows that it looks like it's correcting. Okay, so by looking at the daily candlesticks, you guys can see we did have a break of this channel. All right, and zooming out a little bit further, you guys can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4 touches in this yellow area, which caused this strong impulse. Okay, and we were wanting to get a potential retracement before we continue to our third touch of this trend line. You guys can see we have 1, 2, and a potential third touch. Okay, and same with GA. I know we did call a sell last week, and it's honestly doing the same exact thing. Okay, so they do move alike. Okay, you guys can see we have 1, 2, excuse me, 2, and a potential third touch. Okay, so we called a sell off the break, and you guys can see could have a potential retest and continuation for that third touch. Okay, let's see. Awesome. So I believe that's it. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. Again, just to recap, USDJPY bullish. Euro AUD, I do see it correcting a little bit before it continues. CADJPY, it's in profits, I believe, and yeah, I do see this continuing. Okay, so again, price can do whatever it wants. All right, as long as we accept the risk. All right, write the trade down in our journals. All right, there's nothing we should be afraid of. All right.